Okay. Are you ready for robot chefs?
Oh,
I
oh,
think
I
you're
don't know.
ready. Okay. So there
Maybe.
is a new company who created a robot. It's called BottenKit. And these AI robot chefs have the ability to wash up, follow recipes, as well as stir fry, stew, boil, fry, and make salad, all within a self contained machine. Okay. And it
Okay.
features a silver and gray design, and the robot has a touch screen where people can select a dish and how they would like it prepared.
Huh.
The company released a video where it shows a human uploading a recipe that is then sent to the AI chef via the cloud. Okay. Is
Huh.
your first thought not Rosie from the Jetsons?
A
Just me?
100%. She was so
Okay.
personable, though. I don't know.
Yes, it didn't say if this one will talk to you and remind you to pick up your socks or anything like that. But so it states that with the push of a button, the robot starts preparing rice dishes, pasta, Asian chicken dishes, and much more,
Yeah,
making the human interference obsolete. Hello,
I hate it.
who loads the machine? So, okay, a while back, KitchenAid came out with like their 21 in 1 machine. I don't know if it was actually 21, but it was basically the all in one rice, grain, and bean cooker. Okay. And you filled in all these compartments with like different rices, different beans, different stuff. And then you'd hit a
Yeah.
button and it would measure out how much you would get. It's hooked up to like a water well, like a Keurig is, and it would dispense the right amount and then it would perfectly cook everything for you all at once. And so here's my thought is how big is this machine? Like how do you load the groceries in? Do I take the Walmart bag full of groceries and just pop it in and it knows like
Figure it out.
but
Go for it,
you know
robot.
yeah, it's crazy. And then so according to the chief executive, and I'm going to mispronounce this, Chen Ri, the aim is not to replace existing human chefs altogether, but to simply help with cutting operating costs.
Mm.
And they're claiming that their Botnin Kit robot can reduce labor costs by 30% and food and seasoning waste by 10%. It claims the precision control ensures consistent taste, quality, customer satisfaction, and reduce overall waste and costs. So I kind of get this, especially when they're talking about consistent taste and quality. Because if
Yeah.
you go to a restaurant and it's a busy night, you have multiple tables that all order the same dish, odds are good they could taste different at each individual table, let alone if this restaurant has multiple locations in different cities.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know this, but fast food has always had this thing of consistency. So if you
Right.
get a burger in one location, that burger should taste exactly the same as another burger from another city. And so this kind of makes me think of that same thing where restaurants really strive for consistency.
Right.
So I get this. Now, it also mentioned that these robots could take into account special dietary needs such as gluten free, vegan, low sodium, and ensuring that everyone can enjoy a high quality and delicious meal.
Okay.
So, in theory, going back to the food allergens thing, this machine could basically prevent cross contamination, accidental contamination, and to kind of do that food transparency because the machine can't accidentally put something in or you know what I mean? Like there's
Right.
just a much better transparency because I'm sure you could like hit a button and a little receipt would pop out and tell you exactly what was included in your meal.
Yeah, absolutely. I do appreciate it a lot from the dietary restriction point of view because it's like tiny little capsule kitchens. So instead of, you've got bowls, shared utensils, like your hands and anything that's within this environment, unintentionally or not. And the possibility of cross contamination exists when you have shared environments. So I do appreciate that, especially, we have had people who recently have had issue with anaphylactic reactions and even death because of mishandled food, whether
Or undeclared allergens,
that, yeah.
things of that nature. So I get that. I do.
Yeah.
And he said that in a decade, 10 years, we believe the restaurant industry will shift towards digital kitchens where robots and intelligent systems will play a leading role in operations. He insisted, though, that humans will still be involved in some of the aspects of the cooking process, but in a much more limited way. He said humans will focus on recipe creation and adding personal touches to the dishes at the final stage, which to me makes me think of like final seasoning and maybe garnishing, because
Yeah.
maybe the robot doesn't have the like finger, capacity to do the little sprinkle or the drizzle.
Or the lemon, you squish the
Yeah,
lemon without getting
right.
the seeds in it. But it kind of makes me
Well,
sad.
it
Like when I,
okay. So part of me thinks of like for home application, who wouldn't want Rosie the robot who you just plug in? Everybody could eat something different. It's all done in the same time. It's poof. It's
yeah,
like movie magic. But they're talking about restaurant applications. And I guarantee you that Applebee's is probably not going to be the type of restaurant that would use this type of machinery because it's going to be expensive. So this means that it'd be high-end restaurants that would be able to afford this and to use it. And then people go to high-end restaurants for the high-end quality of the food.
yeah.
Does it is it still high end if it's not a physical human making the food, but just a robot?
I think there's, while you may be cooking it just right, there's some like nuances that get lost. Like when I think about a steak like a filet mignon that's cooked to perfection. Like it's more than just being at the right temperature. Like the sear is right. And there's people who cook at that level. There's a passion behind it. And to know that the appearance of the food in itself is one thing, and that's through the process. And I think you and I were talking about chocolate souffles and the absolute care that has to go into a chocolate souffle is unmatched. I think I don't know
There's
that you
so
could.
many environmental factors that you have to take into account for a souffle to come out perfectly. And it's not like a 12-minute dish. Start to finish, a good souffle could easily take 45 minutes to an hour. And if
Yep.
at any point in that 45 minutes, one tiny thing goes wrong, you have to start over.
And
There's
how would you be
no
able to calibrate as a robot?
exactly.
Would you be able to know when that tiny little hiccup, if your bowl isn't bone dry and absolutely clean, that meringue is not meringuing, or
Yeah.
the egg whites are not beating to what they need to be. Like
Well, and I was
it's
thinking
not.
too that if the machine is following a recipe, okay,
Mhm.
there's certain things like vegetables. We always joke about like picky kids because different times of the year, blueberries have different harvest times. Some of them are sweeter, some of them are more sour, more tart. So if
Floral.
you have a restaurant that's doing seasonal produce, you know, zucchini may need more salt during March versus in September it needs more pepper. A machine's
Mhm.
not going to know that because it doesn't have a tongue. It can't taste it.
Right.
So,
So at what point are you just playing calibration with your robot instead of using the knowledge that you've created in the environment, like
yeah.
through experience? Like
Well, and
at
on top of
home.
that, I could totally see it being useful to have robots that could do like basic food prep. If you've
Yeah.
ever had to chop 50 pounds of onions in one afternoon, hell yeah,
Yes.
I'm going to take a robot. Peeling carrots, and you don't just peel two of them, you peel 100 pounds of
Hundreds.
them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Totally understand. But to me, I've worked in commercial kitchens and restaurant kitchens. I envision this. that you walk into a kitchen and you just have all these shelving units of little robots and you just go around hitting buttons. I mean, this takes out all of like the art of food, the art of cooking, the emotion involved in cooking. And honestly, maybe if this was for like a hospital or like a clinical setting where
Or
you
school
needed to
setting.
control a school setting, you needed to be able to control certain aspects,
Yeah.
totally understand. But as far as like restaurant industry, I for one, I don't see people paying top dollar for a meal that is prepared by a robot. Now, on that side note, I did go to a Mexican restaurant, I think it was 2 years ago, where a robot delivered my food, and that was pretty cool. But I don't want a robot cooking my quote unquote authentic Mexican. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's fair. We there's a couple of live Asian restaurants we've been in. There's like a Korean fried chicken place up in that way, kind of more towards you, really. They have it comes out on a little with your Korean hot dogs and your bibimbap comes out on a little robot guy. Pretty great. But like, bring me my food, sure thing. Chop my onions and my carrots and potatoes, and but like, like I think about bakeries and cake decorating and like the precision that goes into baking is so high, and that's the part that I feel it makes me sad.
Would you pay $12 a loaf for artisanal sourdough bread made by a robot?
No, probably
It
not.
just, it doesn't.
No,
Yeah, I'm gonna say no.
not. This is not my vibe.